Hi, this is You Gonna Learn, and I'm Mrs. R. And we need to talk about a national problem. And that national problem is the trifling, lion-ass bitches plaguing the country. I am speaking, of course, of the totalitarian hooligans running around claiming to be defending people and this nation by beating people up. They've been covering it up with all sorts of leftist ideology that doesn't apply. Like, they're calling them communists now. What kind of communist doesn't talk about class? That's not a thing. They're calling themselves anarchists. What kind of decent anarchist wants to violently impose their ideology on other people? I know real anarchists, okay? And they have no interest in doing that because they don't believe in the state having that much power. And so we've been calling them the wrong thing, and we've been talking about their behaviors the wrong way. These guys are nothing new. Deep down, we all know that these fucking assholes at Berkeley are the children of hippies, and that it's their hippie parents that have encouraged them to behave this way. You see, back in the 1960s, they were spitting on soldiers, and that led to the Hard Hat Revolt, which led to Nixon and Reagan and all that other stuff. And now they've taken to actually attacking soldiers. They're spending so much time right now trying to purge the non-violent members of the party. I mean, they are literally no-platforming me right now because I refuse to endorse violence. I understand that there's a time and a place to fight. If neo-Nazis come up to you in an alleyway and they're about to stab you and you fight them off in self-defense, then, like, I'm not going to convict you on that jury. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about mass violence directed at people who aren't instigating things. The whole time, for 6 fucking months, I've been saying the same thing. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why? And their answer has been, don't tell us how to express our feels. That is the most elitist bullshit excuse I've ever heard for a political movement in my fucking life. Nobody cares about your feels if it's gonna get poor people hurt. And do you know what they told me their tactical reasons were in Charlottesville? They were intentionally trying to incite the neo-Nazis into violence so they would attack minorities. They try to change it afterwards as if the internet doesn't have a fucking Wayback Machine. Like, can somebody help them, please? And that was in the one city where there were actual neo-Nazis present. Charlottesville has been the only fucking city where there's been actual neo-Nazis present. The guys that they were protesting in Berkeley, they have a black organizer from San Francisco. They're pro-free speech, they're pro-democracy, and they banned and disavowed the KKK from even being there. The main organizer was a trans woman. The other main organizer is half Japanese. These are not neo-Nazis. Okay, and they weren't espousing any neo-Nazi views whatsoever, and in fact, Ryoga V, who is black, wrote a very beautiful anti-racist speech that really should be heard by everyone, and he didn't get to give it because of what the Antifas were doing in Berkeley, and they claim that this is in self-defense. Well, we have video footage now of what they're claiming is self-defense.
What are you guys beating us up for? He's drunk enough! Get the fuck out of
The father turns out to be an immigrant, and that little boy is not a neo-Nazi. This is clearly a crowd that has gone completely mad, and they're just getting off on hurting people. Second video I want to talk about is a video where an Antifa is intentionally trying to block cameras while they are threatening a black Trump supporter.
We don't want to fucking hear from you. Get the fuck away from us. We don't want to fucking hear from you. We got nothing to fucking say to you. Get the fuck away from our
Get out of his face.
We don't want anything to do with you. You're a fucking spash. We don't fucking need you here. Get the fuck away from our march. We got no fucking use for you.
Make me.
Get the fuck away.
Was that your
You don't want me to make you. Trust me.
Oh, make me. Make me. Make me.
Turn that fucking camera off. Thank you.
No.
The only reason you're talking all that shit is because that camera's over there.
No.
If that camera wasn't there, I'd be knocking your ass the fuck out. We don't need you here, motherfucker. We don't fucking need you here. We don't have any fucking use for you. Get the fuck away from our march.
Okay, so
Shut the fuck up. Nobody wants to hear a fucking word you have to say. Shut the fuck up.
make me.
Shut the fuck up.
Make me.
Fuck you.
Make me.
Fuck off.
You gonna hit him with a flag too? Let him go. Let him get by.
Best you got.
They try to block it, but you see that the Antifa hits this person, and this whole time, it's this white person saying to a black man,
We don't have any fucking use for you.
and they've been using this rhetoric recently, this idea that we're useless if we disagree with them, and I think that it hasn't been talked about enough. We're not their tools. They don't own us. They don't have the right to tell us what to do. They don't have the right to tell us whether or not we're serving them. They are supposed to serve us. They do not get to call poor people useless because they disagree with them. They do not get to call black people useless because they disagree with them.
And like, we can have an argument about what you should do if a group of neo-Nazis comes up to you and attacks you and you're a black man. Like, do what you have to, is my answer to that. Like, do what you have to survive. You have a right to self-defense. But these people were throwing urine on motherfuckers.
According to the journalist, two of her producers got sprayed with urine while reporting on the increasingly violent protests Saturday morning. She added, "Lovely. Hard to keep your cool."
White people need to raise their kids. They're throwing urine and they can't fight. You need to raise your kids. Raise your kids. Raise your kids. Raise your goddamn kids. This is ridiculous. Urine throwing. For fuck's sake.
Only someone who's truly fancies themselves a member of the elite thinks that they have the right to be above the law. Do you know what happens to people in the hood if we throw piss on cops? Like, have you any idea what would happen to us if we behaved that way?
Do you know how fucking privileged you have to be before you think you can throw urine on cops without going to prison? Stop pretending this is anything other than it is. This is just an excuse to beat up people. They're beating up black people, they're beating up poor people, they're beating up immigrants, and you're telling me that this isn't a bunch of rich kids. Then why does it keep happening on college campuses? Then why are the crowds so white? You think I can't see any of your skin through your fucking mask? In fact, that's why I believe you're wearing a mask. Is because you're actual white people and you're the real neo-Nazis. It wouldn't even be the first time a dictator pulled that shit. Okay? You don't know your own fucking history. It's ridiculous how little you bitches know. You don't know anything about the anarchist movement. You keep citing the fucking Spaniards. That resulted in mass murders. You want to cite Mao? Worst famine in human history. What you got, bitches? Like, I am so sick of you guys lecturing me about that shit. I know more about it than you. I agree that we shouldn't be racist, and I still think you're a bunch of pussy-ass bitches trying to take my rights away, and I am not about to be the motherfucker to hand them over to you, okay? You've made me 10 years of anti-racist activism me Miss, I included the Black Panthers in my unit, in my star fucking unit, miss. I ended race riots at 14. You have made me say, fuck you. This is bullshit. This is not the first time the left has claimed to do things on our behalf that end up being repressive for us.
During the eugenics movement in the 1930s, which is how 2 of my aunts got sterilized, it's how a lot of African American women were sterilized during that time, and it's how a lot of Indians were also sterilized. American Indians were sterilized. A lot of very bad things happened to a lot of poor people in the 30s during the eugenics movement, and it wasn't conservatives pushing it. It was progressives, it was liberals, and they claimed to be doing it on our behalf. Most of the people they're attacking are not neo-Nazis. And they are threatening, they now are applying the term neo-Nazi to everybody, including non-violent members of the left. If their claim is that they can hit neo-Nazis and everyone's a neo-Nazi, then their claim is that they can hit all of us. And it is time for us to hit back. But not in the way they want. Not in the way they want. Because the way that they're going about it is degrading, not just to the movement as a whole, but also to the human soul and the human spirit. And we have no reason to continue to engage in their tactics. We've seen what they result in. Nothing good happens from it. No, we need to strike back with strategic non-violence. And it needs to be understood that there's been tons of studies done by Gene Sharp and many others that have shown that strategic nonviolence is actually far more effective in taking out fascists than violence has ever been. It's been successful in an enormous amount of cases. If you think nonviolence is about being polite, you're doing it wrong. And you need to go back through training. And you shouldn't be leading. And you should step out of the way so that the nonviolent people can lead.
It is time for the working class, for the nonviolent folks, for my other democratic socialists who know that we have work to do to make sure that we provide for every citizen, and I do mean every citizen, regardless of their race, of their origin, of their sexuality. It doesn't matter. Democratic socialists believe that we provide for fucking everybody, and that we also believe in freedom, and that we truly believe in liberation. It is time for the democratic socialists. It is time for the working class, and it is time for the other non-violent people in the Democratic Party to take a stand. This is ridiculous, you guys. This is fucking ridiculous. They're kicking me out for refusing to endorse violence. That's why I have to leave. They're spitting in the face of our whole fucking legacy. And none of these people are good enough organizers to do that, okay? They're set shit at organizing. It's the idea that they could spit in the face of MLK, of Bob Moses, of Howard Zinn, of our fucking legacy, of Marva Collins, of all those fucking people before us. The idea that they have the right to spit in that face. Most of them couldn't have gone to college without civil rights. The entire feminist movement rests on the actions of nonviolent people. So is the Black Freedom Liberation Movement. This whole thing is absurd. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry to those fucking kids that we let into this situation, that are now in situations where, just for not 100% agreeing with some crazy person's stance, that they are getting attacked.